Welcome to the Ecommerce Alley podcast, where we believe that great brands are built on passionate leadership, smart operations, and of course, powerful marketing. My name's Josh Coffey. I'm the host. And right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you may realize I'm standing, I have an iPad here. I am in a different side of the studio and Dylan is not here. The reason why is because we are doing the largest program rollout we have ever done in our company's history for all of our clients inside the Max Profits Mentorship, as well as the Alley coaching membership. And so if you're interested in those and you're like, hey, I'm an e-commerce brand and I want to learn advertising frameworks on Meta, like I'm about to dive really deep into, and I want to know how can I scale and how do I run a really great operational business, go to ecommercealley.com. We have information there. Check it out. It'll probably help you. We work with a little bit more than 400 brands right now. Very, very hands-on with our coaches and our training and our programs. So I'm in a different spot because we've been filming nonstop every day, editing. Dylan's locked in the editing cave right now. And I broke out. Well, I didn't break out. I'm still here. To do something and record something that I believe is going to be the most in-depth look at Meta's new AI rollout that just happened that I have not seen. And this happened end of March. I think it was March 26th, March 27th. Meta rolled out 4 massive shifts in their algorithm. And it's going to, this is the biggest shift that we have seen since probably iOS 14, when we lost all of this attribution and tracking transparency with Apple came out. And if you were advertising in 2021 when that happened, then you know that it just wrecked so many things. Well, if you've had some shaky performance in the month of March, it's likely because Meta has been doing some really massive things behind the scenes, and I'm going to do an entire breakdown of this. There are 4 things that Meta rolled out. The first thing is called Meta GEM, G-E-M, which is basically, it stands for Generative Ads Recommendations Model. I'm going to break down exactly what that means in simple terms. The second thing Meta rolled out is called Meta Lattice. The third thing is Meta Andromeda. And the fourth thing is Meta Sequence Learning. And so there's a lot within this. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to attempt to break down some incredibly important things that are going to shape how we advertise, how many creatives we use, how we structure campaigns, how much primary text we use. And at the end of this, I'm gonna draw this out on my iPad. I'm gonna give you visualization on this with a really great analogy, if I do say so myself, of how it all pieces together. I'm going to get nerdy, and then I'm going to get simple terms on it. And then at the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you the massive takeaway list, like the bulleted list of what all of this actually means. All right. And by the way, bear with me as I draw here because I'm going to be drawing in 2D. And so we're going to be looking top down as I draw this stuff. And my drawing skills are about that of a 5th grader, and they plateaued when I was in 5th grade. Let's talk about the first thing. So the first thing that Meta rolled out is called Meta GEM, or the generative recommendation model. And what we look at this as is I look at this as your personalized library. And here's what I mean by that. So let me just draw, here we go. If this was your library, everybody, it's like the brain, it's like Meta knows your brain, and everybody has a different brain. So what happens is Meta learns yours. So imagine you have a personalized library like I have right here. And in your library, you have, like, we'll just pretend I have a little bitty, like this is the door right over here. Here's the little doorknob. And of course, we have to have the librarian's desk, like as soon as you enter. And then we have these different rows of knowledge and preferences and books or video or audio and however you might learn. So Meta learns about you and has a brain that is tailored and personalized to you. So just imagine you have a personal library and Meta builds this library for you. It combines content understanding, like what a video is about, with your behavioral patterns, like how you interact with that type of video and that type of content. And it learns it over time. So basically, it knows what modalities of content, like text, image, video, etc., people need before they buy. And to be honest, we previously thought that Meta actually did this. Like we thought that Meta knew, oh, Josh likes video, or Josh doesn't really like video. Josh likes simple creative or simple images, right? But apparently, according to this, they never did that. It was more of a conspiracy theory that all of us marketers thought that Meta knew our preferences, but it didn't. And so to give you an example, maybe you respond well to short form video on Instagram, and I respond well to those statics on Meta feed or maybe on my phone. It's going to be able to know that, and it's going to be in your library, right? So like say you're selling electrolyte packets. Gem might recognize that somebody who's been watching marathon training videos likes fitness memes and also hovers over meal prep content, but they haven't yet clicked and is a high potential buyer. It serves your ad at the right moment, personalized to that person when traditional modeling in the past would not be able to capture that. And so why this is important is because we need to stop thinking, I believe, in terms of top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Because whenever we do that, it introduces our bias with limited knowledge on each individual person, whereas Meta has millions of data points on each individual person. It knows who needs to see an offer of your products, and it knows who doesn't. It knows the order that the ads they need to see are going to be in. It knows the modality they need to see on how they preference it. It knows the platform. It knows at what time that will then lead them to the purchase, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit on one of the other models. And so if you think of it like this, like Gem is Meta's giant library, it's the brain of your personal preferences. And it makes for a wonderful experience. That's really what it does. If every time you walked into the library, every book and everything in there is tailored to you, how great of a library would that be? But here's the best part. The library was going to change over time. The books that get placed in it are going to shift as your life and your preferences shift. So let me give you an example. If I were to walk into the Josh Coffee library, you might see a row over here that's probably going to be on fitness. Another one that's probably going to be on ads, because I love ads, and Meta shows me a lot of trainings and all kinds of things on ads. I might have another one on nutrition. I'm going to have another one on right now teas, because I've been like shopping for like new teas, and I love all true classic teas. And so I'm seeing a lot of tea stuff. But then what I didn't see 3 months ago, I now see, because 3 months ago I didn't have kids, but now I have a 3-month-old. And so my library has changed. And I'm going to erase the teas because I finally bought my teas. In nutrition, I bought some, I actually subscribed to a meal delivery service for us. So those have shifted out. And now my library has changed. And you know what it has? It has onesies. It has weighted sleep sacks. And it also has these $3,000 self-rocking AI-powered cribs that can identify cues in the middle of the night when your baby is starting to stir, and it will rock the baby back to sleep. And for some reason, it just keeps showing up in my feed. Gem is personalized to you, but the library is changing. So inside your library, you have all of these different things. And as your life changes and your preferences change, just think of the brain, the Gem, as that library that is an ever-changing library tailored to you for the best possible experience. But inside that library, something else is happening. For some of these things, and I'm just going to draw little lines here. Let's pretend these are all different books and volumes, and some are audio and some are video. Inside each one of these, if I was walking down the row, are my preferences, which brings me to the second rollout that Meta did, which is Meta Lattice. Now, when I say library books, some people, for example, are going to think, awesome, I love books. So if I was looking down the fitness row, right? In the fitness row, if I said, hey, books, some people are going to say, I love books. Others are going to think, awesome, I love audiobooks. So maybe instead of a book, I'm going to use little red lines here, walking down my aisle, I actually prefer audiobooks. And some people are going to be like, ooh, yikes, I hate reading anything. I only want volumes and content that are videos. You see, some like to read, some like to listen, and some like to watch. Some like to stay at the library and sit in a chair, right? They're going to come over here and they're going to be like, you know what? I picked out what I needed. I'm going to go sit in this nice comfy chair over here, this nice big beanbag chair, and I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to read it there. And some like to take it home on their own and say, I'm going to consume this content, video, audio, or reading at home. And then some like to put it in the car holder, you know, like comes right off the vent, and they like to watch video while they're driving in their car, which I probably don't condone. And so what I want you to think of is that in your personalized library, you also have tailored preferences in that. Each placement, each platform, and campaign objective is what Meta Lattice calls a surface. So you have personalized preferences, and they're called different surfaces. So before, Meta used to separate AI models in optimization for each platform, placement, and campaign objective. One for feed, one for reels, one for stories, and even different ones for goals like traffic or purchases or video views. And so they just optimize in these silos. For example, if you ran, and if you've ever run a traffic objective, you will get a lot of clicks, and it will continue optimizing and retargeting people who only click, but they don't add to cart or they don't buy. And now with Meta Lattice, it's saying that it's this one massive unified model that kind of crosses everything. And instead it sees this full journey of someone who's going through this in the surface that they engage on, aka like the placement or the platform, right? Those surfaces that they engage on, and it's going to shuffle them between your campaign objectives. Now, this might lend itself to just being able to run multiple campaign objectives like traffic and engagement and add to cart and purchase campaigns so that they can kind of like cross-pollinate between each other. And I don't know if I'm completely sold on that yet, but that's what Meta Lattice basically says it's going to be able to do, that you could run all these different objectives and it's going to show them their preference, right? The modality on the platform in the placement, and it's going to be able to cross-pollinate people better through the different stages of the buyer's journey based on objective. And so previously, Meta didn't share optimization amongst the campaign objectives or the platforms. Like it would optimize in and of itself on the placement of stories, right? Or reels or newsfeed images. It would optimize in and of itself in that. But now it's saying all the placements and the platforms and the objectives will all mesh together. And it appears that Meta's it might show video view campaigns or maybe traffic to people who are currently in the stage of needing to view a video or click on ads. And then if somebody watches a product on Reels and clicks on your Instagram stories and buys through Facebook, Lattice sees the pattern of everything. It connects the dots and it gets smarter. So essentially, instead of thinking in silos and operating in silos on placement, on platform, and on objective, it's now bridging the gap, kind of like a lattice, right? A lattice is going to crisscross like this, and it's going to know the order of which people need to engage to see that and what the different placements and objectives that they actually need to see and on what platforms. That's all really cool. So a lot of that speaks to like, you have your own library, and then you have your own library preferences for each aisle. But now is where it gets really powerful and also creepy. And this is the third element of Meta's AI, which is meta sequence learning. And so Meta can now identify the sequence of events that happen before someone purchases, and then the next sequence of events needs to happen to lead them to the next purchase. And so if I was looking at my library here, right? Let's say I come in here and it starts showing me tons of things on onesies. So if I'm walking down the onesies aisle, I see some image ads, and then I see like some stories and reels, and then it starts showing me some different videos in the newsfeed. It shows me these different modalities on different placements, and some of the times I view it on Instagram, and sometimes I view it on Facebook. So I'm walking down the onesie aisle here, and then what happens is I place the order. Once I place the order, Meta analyzes that order, the timing of all the actions to deliver the next more personalized step in the journey and the relevant ads that need to lead me to the next one. So it learns the before behavior. And then here's what's crazy. It learns the after. So if I walk down the onesie aisle in my personalized library and I get to see and consume in the personalized way that I do in the right order, then what happens is it says, okay, check, Josh has purchased onesies. Now, what's the next thing he's probably going to buy? And it might deem that sleep sacks are the next thing because it knows the before. And if someone had, for example, I'm the onesie sleep sack expensive crib guy, but maybe someone had an interest in a tent for camping. Like Meta will show ads around tents. But after they purchase the tent, the problem in the past is that they would continue seeing ads around tents. If I bought onesies, previously I would still be in the onesies, or in this case, the tents category, and I would be retargeted with that. But with sequence learning, after purchasing a tent, they might see ads for hiking boots and then lanterns and sleeping bags and other items that most users will purchase after buying a tent. And so this tells us that having multiple products for sale in your ads is going to become crucial, because if you only advertise a single product, then after getting that customer, they won't be in your targeting bucket and ecosystem anymore because they just bought that product. And Meta knows that unless it's a replenishable product, the probability of them buying again in the near future is pretty low. And so it'll show them these types of ads in a particular placement, in a particular sequence, and then move them to the next sequence it believes they're going to take and predict what they will buy next. And then it's going to rank the ads based on what the next event is, and then just keep them moving through the sequence time and time again until they get to the next thing. And so if I bought onesies, I'm not going to see onesies anymore. And then my personalized library is going to change, and it's going to say, okay, Josh, you're no longer seeing onesies. Now we are trying to walk you down the sleep sack aisle, and we're going to, using our brain and your personalized library and your preferences, we're going to show you these ads in this sequential order to lead you to what we believe the next thing is, which is sleep sacks in this example. And then, you know what? My library is going to change a little bit, and the onesies are all now gone. And then it's going to be like, oh, you know what, Josh? You want to buy, actually, this just happened to us. You want to buy a Duna. You want to buy a $600 stroller because you're about to travel, and William's only 3 months old, and we know you're about to travel to San Francisco for a client event, and William's first flight, and so we're going to start showing you strollers that are really easy to pick up and travel and just move with without having to separate the car seat from the stroller. And so if Gem is your personalized changing library, Lattice are all of the preferences you have, like video, image, placement, objective. And now sequence learning is like having your own personalized, I'll draw a smiley face right here, librarian that is like your personal concierge that can read your brain, has your entire personalized changing library memorized, and then predict which books or audio or video you need to pick up in what order, and then which ones you're going to need after you've finished consuming those. Super creepy, but also super amazing for advertisers like us, which leads to the last, final, most game-changing update. They're all game-changing, but this is where now it gets even better. And this is what I believe actually right here, this piece, changes the most for all of us as advertisers and how we've done things. And this is Meta Andromeda. And so Meta Andromeda is an incredibly fast retrieval system that can help Meta figure out within milliseconds which ads to even consider showing someone and in what combination out of the tens of millions of possibilities. It's the first step in the ad delivery pipeline before ranking or bidding and things like that even happen. And it's a super intelligent gatekeeper that basically decides, okay, I'm the gatekeeper. This is the personalized library. This is the person I need to serve up to. And I'm going to pick from these tens of millions, a few thousand ads that will then go to the auction and then compete for the person's attention. The problem Meta had before was that when you were running ads with loads of enhancements on, right? You could turn on creative enhancements and text optimizations, and you could have site links and then catalog turned on, and then you could turn on loads of variants like headlines, primary text, descriptions, all that. You could do flexible ads. You can upload all of these variations. And most people that might follow like a 3-2-2 methodology and things like that, the reason that doing more than that didn't work when you could, like for example, in a dynamic creative ad, or what is now called a flexible ad, you could upload up to 10 creatives. So I could upload up to 10. But why did we not upload up to 10? Why did we not upload the max amount of primary text, the max amount of headlines, the max amount of descriptions? Why didn't we do that? The reason we didn't do it is because marketers, all of us advertisers, were pretty smart, and we learned that when you give Meta too much, it's just like, what do I do? And it just like falls apart because it was too many variations to pull from, and it didn't have the firepower and the speed to efficiently do that enough. Maybe you see where I'm going with this. This is why we would often see swings in performance as well. When you're running ads, you'd have great day, bad day, mediocre day, okay, great day, bad day, things like that, is because when we would give it loads, too much creative, too much copy, too much variation, too many ads, what would happen is it would just freak out and it wouldn't know what to do. This is where Andromeda has changed everything. It now has a 10,000% increase in capacity with all of the new hardware that they actually Meta actually purchased and invested in. It now has a 10,000% increase in capacity to pool personalized ads based on users' interest in their buying cycle. So let's recap. Gem is the personalized changing library. Lattice are all of your preferences you have, like video, image, placement, objective. Sequence learning is like your personal concierge librarian who knows your entire library and has all of your preferences memorized and can predict the order in the things you need, leading to the next purchase, the next purchase, the next purchase. And now, before your hand even touches the door of the library, you're walking over here, you're like, I'm going to my library and that's my backwards hat right there. I'm going to the library and I'm about to grab the door and I'm gonna see what's inside. And before you even do that, your librarian, Andromeda, runs, goes through all of the different aisles and it pulls the books so quickly that by time you keep walking and your hand even touches the door, the librarian has the stack of books or video, whatever format you consume, with your tailored preferences in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you need to see on the desk ready to check out. Now, I hope you don't hate my drawing capabilities. They're pretty bad. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to go watch on YouTube because I'll give a little bit of a visual to this. But this is how the new Meta AI system works. And it's really, really powerful because there are some really key takeaways that I'm just going to run through these here to show you what I believe that this truly means. And I kind of waited to release this video a little bit because it's only been, at the time of this recording, it's been like three and a half weeks-ish. About 3 weeks since Meta rolled out this update. And once we learned this, we spent days diving into fully understanding, deep documentation of everything, reading all the super nerd and geeking out on this. And then we created and started stagger testing lots of different structures and testing lots of things. And so I'm going to give you our biggest takeaways 3 weeks into this, what we've seen and what I believe this means now and in the future. The first thing is you're going to have to continue releasing the reins of control to Meta and just trust them. The second thing is there's now a 10,000% improvement in the delivery of ads. So we should begin to expect more stable ad results versus big swings. Obviously, budget still matters here because it's going to be able to pull a lot more, which means you need a volume of ad variations. This is crucial. You need a volume of creative and copy because the more volume you have, the more shots you have at Meta being able to pull with Andromeda from the library of creative and copy that you have for that particular user based on their preferences. So lots of creative. Not that we didn't know that already, but you need lots of creative. But here's the shift that we're now doing. We're not doing flex ads. We haven't seen flex ads still have not worked for us. So we're doing single ads. Volume of creative, video and image. It doesn't matter if they're lumped together in the same ad set either. By the way, as a note, we don't see it heavy weighting as all the time to video like it normally did. Also, we're maxing out copy is what that means. Volume of copy, variety of modalities. So meaning video, image, catalog, carousel. This is going to be important to help the sequence that Meta needs to show people based on their purchasing behavior. We are recommending enabling all placements where possible. This helps increase your ad variation count because if Meta can now use its enhancement abilities to move things around, it's going to increase variation. Ad variation, which again, Andromeda has more, you'll just get more shots for Andromeda to pull from. It means if you're not running website and shop, you might want to consider running website and shop. And so the reason why is because Meta views the shop as a surface, and it will use it to move people closer to purchase. Normally, if you could tell, I get excited. I'm like talking fast. I'm like really excited about this. So normally I would not, we did a lot of tests in shop numbers, and there are ways you could build custom metrics in the dashboard to see how does shop actually do. Shop performance by itself, for the most part, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, is worse than website. But the thing that is different here is that Meta views shop as a surface. So if you ever notice, if you're ever running ads to website and shop, you could do there's some custom metrics that'll show you the breakdown of it. Meta shop clicks are substantially cheaper than website clicks. Makes sense. Meta wants to keep people on platform. But if Meta knows the sequence and the surface that people need to see things before they buy, then it lends itself to say a shop is a surface that it might be the first touch point of people engaging with us, which are now lumping them into our shop view engaged audiences, right? And then it may know that they need to see this video ad, and then they need to see this image, and then then the next image is going to be, or next is on a reel. And then when they click on the reel or they swipe up, it's going to take them to the shop. But we know they don't buy from the shop, but it's a good point for them to see your product. And then 3 engagements later in their personalized learning sequence, we're then going to send them to the website by showing them a product that has an offer on it, because we know that they actually will buy from the website. So we're viewing the shop not as the end zone, but more as a surface and touch point that some people might just hopscotch on to get to the next point in their sequence. Next update and next takeaway is organic posting is going to now have more weight with sequence learning. I didn't talk a whole lot about this, but Meta views organic impressions as now a touch point as well. So if you're posting organically, it will intentionally begin to use your organic as a touch point in the algorithm that will help in the paid media side of things. And so it says, I didn't talk a whole lot about that, but there are a lot of different potential touch points that Lattice surfaces that Lattice is using, and an organic impression is one of those. So it's kind of telling us that Meta's going to maybe start, they don't explicitly say this, but start overlapping this organic and this paid media side. Previously, we never would lean heavy on organic. And we still don't. Most of our stuff comes from paid. But what this is kind of showing us is that Meta's going to begin using organic kind of like as this additional touch point, which it makes me wonder that if you're running ads, does it serve you better organically? Because now that you're running ads, Meta knows to get to the next desired action in the sequence that somebody's going to need to see your organic stuff. So is it going to then give you priority in the organic algorithm? I don't know, but that's something that they do say. They just don't explicitly say that. They kind of hint at organic impressions is a surface in Meta Lattice. Next thing is to use all placements always. Still do that. Broad is best still. Like we don't layer things down. Don't use exclusions. This is another really big one. Is instead you need to run what are called audience segments and really identify those engaged in those existing customers. I'm not going to cover those in here. Go to our YouTube channel and I have a video that says use these audience segments, and I break down how to build them out. Which is a reporting feature. Consider running multiple campaign objectives. Right? If Lattice is saying they will cross-pollinate much better, then it lends itself to say that video views or engagement or awareness or add to cart-based campaigns and purchase are all going to feed a really good ecosystem. I will say that on this takeaway, I'm the most skeptical of this right now. We've tested some different add to cart campaigns. We're leaning into some things. Kind of mediocre results. I don't have anything concrete on that, but it is saying that is potentially going to play into the big ecosystem. The other thing is that optimization might need to happen at the ad set level because all of the ads play together as a team and in a sequence to get to the end zone, meaning you're going to start judging results of the team, the ad set, versus the individual players, which are the ads. Because the new way that Meta knows is if I have an ad set and it has 10 or has 15 ads inside of it, with different copy variations and creative and stuff, if the whole team is sucking and not performing, then it means that Meta, with enough time and spend, right? It means that Meta is just saying, listen, the team you gave me this is like a low division. They're really not doing well. And so we're going to have to start making decisions on an ad set level. We have a whole framework around this, thinking in themes and how we're doing stuff with some of our clients that we're seeing really amazing preliminary results with this. But that's what it kind of says is ad level optimization is potentially no longer going to be the thing. It's going to all be based on the ad set or the team. Having multiple products, it will help create faster lifetime value growth and serve your customers with the next right thing, which is sequence learning. Testing will also become more about volume. This is the last one here. Testing is more about volume and variety versus isolation versus control, right? This is saying, Meta, here are all the options. I'm giving you max flexibility. Use this to serve my potential future customers in the best way possible at the right time that will lead them up to when they purchase from me. Now, that's our huge takeaway list. And I want to say this, if you want access to my huge deep dive with the takeaway list, along with like even more nerdy things, I have a Notion document we're going to include in the description that you can go through this. But I'm not going to get into campaign structure since this video is already really long, or this podcast is already really long. And we're saving all of that for our clients. Sorry, if you're not in the Max Profits Profitably Alley membership, you don't get that. But the preliminary results from the changes that we've been testing based on this and that we've been stagger testing have been pretty incredible. Now, I encourage you, as you continue advertising, keep all of these things in mind. Go read the takeaway list. Go look at the Notion document link that I'm going to include below. But what I would love is, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. Hearing all this, I hope it made sense. I tried to put this in more simple terms with the whole library angle on this, but what's your biggest takeaway? Drop that below. And if you're listening on audio, please take a moment to rate this, subscribe on YouTube, and I hope that this was valuable. If this was, and you know another advertiser that maybe is getting affected right now, or you want to spread the love, spread the knowledge, please take the link of this, shoot this to somebody that you know would geek out or would also find value in this, and I will see you in the next episode.